Every day the world loses legends, icons whose lives shaped our culture, our memories, our hearts. From actors to musicians, pioneers to visionaries, their stories deserve to be remembered and celebrated. Welcome back. Here we honor the lives, achievements, and legacies of those who passed, today keeping their memory alive for generations to come. The lights of Hollywood's golden age have grown a little dimmer. Tragic news has been confirmed that beloved actress and singer Blyth has passed away at the age of 98. For many, her name immediately brings back memories of classic films, elegant performances, and a remarkable career that stretched across generations. But behind the glamour and fame, who was the woman who captivated audiences for more than 7 decades? And how did a young girl from New York become one of Hollywood's most unforgettable stars? Long before she appeared on the silver screen, Blyth was already performing. Born on August 16, 1927 in Mount Kisco, New York, she discovered her love for music and acting at an early age. As a child, she performed on radio programs, charming listeners with a voice that seemed far beyond her years. Those early appearances opened doors that would eventually lead her to Broadway. In 1941, while still a teenager, Blyth joined the cast of Lillian Hellman's acclaimed play Watch on the Rhine. It was an important moment, but few could have predicted what would come next. Hollywood studios quickly noticed the young performer's poise and natural talent. Soon Universal Studios signed her, setting the stage for a career that would define an era. Her film debut came in 1944 with Chip Off the Old Block. More roles followed, many in light-hearted musical comedies. Yet it was in 1945 that everything changed. That year, Blyth appeared opposite Joan Crawford in Mildred Pierce, playing the manipulative and ambitious daughter, Veda Pierce. The performance stunned audiences. Despite being only 17 years old, Blyth delivered a portrayal filled with intensity and emotional complexity. Critics praised her work, and she earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. Ironically, many moviegoers disliked her character so much that they found it difficult to separate the actress from the role itself, a testament to the power of her performance. As the years passed, Blyth refused to be defined by a single character. She moved gracefully between dramas, musicals, and romantic films. Audiences embraced her in productions such as The Great Caruso, Rose-Marie, and Kismet. Alongside her acting career, she continued to nurture her love of singing, frequently performing on television and in concert appearances. Away from the cameras, Blyth was known for something increasingly rare in Hollywood: stability. She married physician James McNulty in 1953, and their marriage endured for nearly 50 years until his death in 2007. Together they raised 5 children, creating a private family life far removed from the spotlight. News of Blyth's passing on June 24, 2026, prompted an outpouring of tributes from admirers and colleagues. Film historians remembered her as one of the last living links to Hollywood's classic era. One tribute shared online simply read, "Blyth carried grace into every room she entered." Another admirer wrote, "She represented the elegance and dignity of old Hollywood." Many also remembered her kindness. Former colleagues often spoke warmly of her professionalism and gentle spirit. As one longtime friend once said, never forgot that audiences gave her a career, and she treated that gift with gratitude. Perhaps that gratitude explains why she remained so beloved long after the golden age had faded. She was more than an actress. She was a symbol of an era when movie stars seemed larger than life, yet somehow still deeply human. Today, as scenes from Mildred Pierce continue to flicker across television screens and streaming services, Blyth's voice and presence live on. Though one of Hollywood's brightest stars has taken her final bow, the memories she created remain untouched by time. And for those who still cherish the magic of classic cinema, Blyth will always be waiting just beyond the curtain, ready for one more performance. A familiar voice that once filled concert halls around the world has now fallen silent. Tragic news has been confirmed that David Clayton-Thomas, the legendary voice behind Blood, Sweat and Tears, passed away on June 24, 2026. For decades, his unmistakable sound carried listeners through songs of passion, struggle, and hope. But how did a young man who faced hardship and uncertainty rise to become one of rock music's most distinctive performers? And what was it about his voice that still resonates with audiences today? Long before fame arrived, David Clayton-Thomas knew adversity. Born David Henry Tomsett in Surrey, England on September 13, 1941, his early years were marked by difficulty. Following the Second World War, his family immigrated to Canada, hoping for a better future. Yet life did not become easier overnight. As a teenager growing up in Toronto, Clayton-Thomas often found himself in trouble. He later spoke openly about difficult years spent on the streets and periods of personal struggle. But amid those challenges, music quietly became a lifeline. The blues in particular gave him something he had rarely known before: a sense of purpose. Night after night, small clubs along Toronto's Yonge Street became his classroom. Smoke-filled rooms echoed with blues rhythms as the young singer developed his powerful stage presence. Audiences quickly noticed that his voice carried something rare. It was rough, soulful, and deeply emotional. Before long, he was leading local groups including the Shays and later the Bossmen. Those early bands introduced a unique blend of rock and jazz influences, hinting at the sound that would eventually define his career. Still, few could have imagined what awaited him just a few years later in New York City. Everything changed in 1968 when Clayton-Thomas joined Blood, Sweat and Tears. The band was already searching for a new direction. With his arrival, they found not only a singer, but a voice capable of uniting rock, jazz, blues and soul into something entirely new. Songs such as Spinning Wheel, You've Made Me So Very Happy, and When I Die soon became international hits. Radio stations played them constantly. Concert venues filled. Audiences responded not only to the music, but to the emotional honesty in Clayton-Thomas's performances. The success was extraordinary. Blood, Sweat and Tears won the Grammy Award for Album of the Year in 1970, surpassing even the Beatles' Abbey Road. It was a defining moment, though Clayton-Thomas often remained humble about the achievement. In one interview he reflected, "Music saved my life. Everything good that happened came through music." Yet fame brought its own challenges. The pressures of constant touring and changing musical trends created difficult moments throughout his career. Even so, Clayton-Thomas continued performing, recording and reinventing himself for decades. His commitment to music never faded. Following news of his passing, tributes quickly appeared from fellow musicians and longtime fans. One social media tribute read, "David's voice was instantly recognizable. He sang with his whole heart." Another admirer wrote, "He turned pain into music and music into healing." Those closest to him often remembered more than his talent. Friends spoke of his resilience and determination. One former colleague simply said, "David never forgot where he came from and that shaped everything he did." Today his recordings continue to play across generations, carrying the same passion they did decades ago. David Clayton-Thomas leaves behind more than hit songs. He leaves a story of perseverance, redemption and artistic courage. And perhaps that is why his voice still feels so personal. Even in silence, it continues to remind listeners that difficult beginnings do not define the ending. Somewhere in old vinyl records and cherished memories, that unmistakable voice is still singing. In recording studios across America, countless artists once waited anxiously outside office doors, hoping for a chance to be heard. For decades, one man possessed a remarkable gift: the ability to hear something special long before the rest of the world did. Today, the music industry is mourning the loss of Clive Davis, a visionary executive whose influence shaped the soundtrack of generations. But how did a lawyer from Brooklyn become one of the most powerful figures in music history? And how many legendary careers might never have existed without his belief? Born on April 4, 1932 in Brooklyn, New York, Clive Davis did not begin his professional life with dreams of running record companies. He studied at New York University and later graduated from Harvard Law School. His path seemed firmly rooted in law. Yet fate, as it often does, had different plans. In the mid-1960s, Davis joined Columbia Records as legal counsel. It was there that something unexpected emerged. Behind the business suits and legal contracts was a man with extraordinary musical instincts. Colleagues soon noticed that Davis could identify talent with remarkable precision, often hearing greatness where others heard uncertainty. By 1967 he had become president of Columbia Records. Almost immediately he began reshaping the company's direction. Rather than simply following trends, Davis searched for artists who possessed authenticity and emotional power. His philosophy was simple: great songs could outlast changing fashions. The strategy worked. During his years at Columbia, he played an important role in the careers of artists such as Janis Joplin, Bruce Springsteen, and Billy Joel. Yet his journey was far from over. After leaving Columbia in the 1970s, many wondered whether his greatest achievements were already behind him. Instead, Clive Davis started again. In 1974, he founded Arista Records. What followed would become one of the most extraordinary chapters in music history. Under his leadership, Arista introduced and guided the careers of numerous stars, including Whitney Houston, whose voice would captivate the world. Davis often described discovering Houston as one of the defining moments of his career. Recalling that first encounter, Davis once said, "The moment she began to sing, I knew I was witnessing something extraordinary." That instinct would prove correct. Houston became one of the best-selling artists of all time, and many credited Davis for recognizing her immense potential long before global audiences did. His impact stretched far beyond a single artist. Throughout the decades he remained a guiding force behind the success of Alicia Keys, Barry Manilow, Patti Smith and many others. Even as musical styles evolved, Davis adapted. In 2000 he founded J Records, once again proving that his ear for talent had not faded. Those who worked with him frequently spoke not only about his business brilliance, but also about his unwavering belief in artists. Alicia Keys once described him as someone who truly listened. Another longtime colleague reflected, Clive didn't just sign artists. He nurtured careers. As news of his passing spread, tributes poured in from across the entertainment world. One social media message simply read, "Without Clive Davis, modern music would sound very different." Another admirer wrote, "He gave voices a chance to be heard." For millions of listeners, Clive Davis remained largely behind the scenes. Yet his influence was present in car radios, concert halls, family celebrations and quiet personal moments. His decisions introduced songs that became woven into people's lives. Today the man who discovered generations of stars is gone. But his legacy continues every time a timeless melody begins to play. Somewhere, a young artist is still chasing a dream, much like the countless performers who once sat across from Clive Davis, waiting for him to hear what the world had not yet discovered. In countless homes around the world, exhausted parents once sat awake long after midnight, searching for reassurance that they were not alone. Many found comfort in words written by a woman they had never met. Today that comforting voice has been lost. News of the passing of Jill Smokler, known to millions as Scary Mommy, has brought deep sadness to families who saw her not simply as a writer, but as a trusted companion through the challenges of parenthood. How did one mother's personal reflections grow into a worldwide movement? And why did her words resonate so deeply with so many people? Long before millions followed her online, Jill Smokler was navigating the everyday realities of raising a family. Like countless parents, she experienced moments of joy, exhaustion, self-doubt, and overwhelming love. Yet she also recognized something many others quietly felt, that motherhood was often portrayed as perfect, while the struggles remained hidden. In 2008, Smokler decided to change that conversation. From her home she launched a personal blog called Scary Mommy. The title itself reflected her sense of humor. Rather than presenting an idealized version of family life, she wrote honestly about messy kitchens, sleepless nights, parenting mistakes, and the emotional complexities of raising children. Readers responded immediately. What began as a small personal project soon attracted thousands and then millions of followers. Parents from around the world recognized themselves in her stories. For many, visiting Scary Mommy became part of their daily routine, a place where honesty replaced judgment and vulnerability was welcomed. Smokler often said that parents needed permission to admit that raising children could be both beautiful and difficult. In one widely shared reflection she wrote, "You can love your children completely and still have hard days." Those simple words resonated deeply because they expressed feelings many parents had never spoken aloud. As the community expanded, Scary Mommy evolved far beyond a blog. It became one of the internet's most influential parenting platforms, featuring essays, humor, advice, and personal stories from contributors across the globe. Through it all, Smokler remained committed to authenticity. Friends and colleagues frequently described her as compassionate, approachable, and deeply empathetic. One fellow writer recalled, "Jill created a space where parents felt safe enough to tell the truth." Another longtime contributor shared, "She changed the conversation by reminding people that imperfection is normal." Yet perhaps her greatest achievement could not be measured in page views or social media followers. For parents struggling in silence, Smokler offered something profoundly human: connection. During difficult seasons, postpartum challenges, loneliness, or uncertainty, many readers found reassurance in knowing that others shared similar experiences. In a world increasingly shaped by carefully curated images, her honesty felt revolutionary. News of her passing prompted an immediate wave of tributes across social media. Messages arrived from parents, writers, and public figures who credited Smokler with helping them through some of life's most challenging moments. One tribute simply read, "Jill made millions of parents feel seen." Another admirer wrote, "She gave us permission to be imperfect." Even amid grief, many reflected on the remarkable community she built. The conversations she started continue every day, carried forward by parents supporting one another in the spirit she encouraged. Today, screens may feel a little quieter, and many families may pause as they remember the woman whose words accompanied them through late nights and uncertain mornings. Jill Smokler transformed modern parenting not by claiming to have all the answers, but by bravely admitting that no one does. Her voice may now be silent, but the compassion, humor, and understanding she shared remain woven into the lives of millions. And somewhere tonight, as another parent searches for reassurance, they may still discover the lasting gift Jill Smokler left behind, the comforting reminder that no one has to walk the journey of parenthood alone.